Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. My name is Devan Kline, and I am the visionary and co-founder of Burn Bootcamp. Welcome back to my episode here on the Burn Bootcamp podcast. If you like more from me and you didn't realize it, there is another podcast that is my show, and it's called the Devan Kline Show or the DK Show. And yeah, we're there 2 or 3 times a week in addition to the Burn Bootcamp podcast, just really trying to add as much value as we can to your lives. And so today, what I wanted to talk about a little bit about is my journey in how I've gone through my life in mentorship and coaching, and what I think about finding other people specifically to help me get to where I want to go. Because no matter what level that you're at, it's my opinion that you need, not want, not could have, you need a coach, you need a mentor, you need somebody that's going to help you see what you don't yet see. You need a fresh perspective. You need somebody that's done what you've wanted to do and then can relay that information to you. In other words, you need a human being or multiple human beings in your life that have taken decades of experience and can shorten that up into an hour conversation with you and download all the distilled information that they've acquired throughout their lives to give it to you. This is why I like reading books. This is why I read books, because I look up to people, let's say Tony Robbins, for example. The first book that I ever read after baseball, like during baseball, I wasn't interested in reading. I was interested in striking people out, right? Like I didn't care about reading books. I'd never read a book in my entire life until post-baseball. And I was like, oh, I don't know anything. This isn't good. I have no idea what I'm doing. Is this good or bad, right? I have no idea. I better start educating myself. I better start learning. And so I didn't have any connections. So I first started getting my mentorship through books, through people writing about the information, the knowledge, the wisdom that's taken them decades to write. And they put it into one book. And I started, just really absorbing things. And so Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins was the first book that I read, because I knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I had always been an entrepreneur in my life since I was 12 years old. I started a snow shoveling franchise with my friends where I'd knock on the door and I'd sell 20-minute snow removal, and they'd come behind me with shovels and they'd shovel it out in 20 minutes. We'd split the cash 3 ways and we'd go quick, door to door to door. We had select neighborhoods that had short driveways and some older people that didn't want to get out there and shovel their driveway. And we made a great little business for ourselves, from that time. And so listen, I've always had the entrepreneurial DNA in me. I started flipping cars when I was 16 when I found out about a little site called eBay, and I turned that snow shoveling revenue and my CD selling business when I was like a teenager before I could drive, working on the roofs with my uncle and the odd and weekend jobs with my dad as an electrician. And I took all that money and I saved up to buy my first car. And then I got on eBay and I started flipping cars with that. And so now all of a sudden, before you know it, I go to Central Michigan University, and this broke kid that's grown up on food stamps his whole life and his parents didn't have any money and we were otherwise regarded as poor, I had $5,000 in a 2005 Ford Mustang, and I'm like balling. I'm like, this is great. I really realized that I had a knack for business and a knack for entrepreneurship, because I didn't even know what the word was, and I had no mentors to coach me through it at the time. You've heard success is built out of inspiration or it's built out of desperation, and mine was built out of desperation. I hated the feeling of being less than I knew that I was, and achieving less, getting less respect than I knew that I deserved. And so that really was the pain I was feeling in my life to motivate me to then go out and, learn things and ask people things. And my first mentor in the car business was a guy that my dad was friends with that owned an auction, and he told me all about the car flipping business. And then I set that down to go play baseball. And when I became a baseball player, my mentors were my coaches. When I got done with baseball, my mentors were books. My mentors were people. Everyone was my mentor. Somebody, if I was curious enough, I could learn something from anybody. And so I got really good at asking questions and being inquisitive and paying attention to what people are saying. Listening, right? Listening. It wasn't about me. It was always about other people and what they had to say. And my superpower was that I was curious, number one, that I listened, number 2, and that I could comprehend, number 3. Maybe the last one, the comprehend piece, is a little bit God-given, but the first 2, listening and asking questions and actually being genuinely curious about what other people have to say, knowing that I'll never get too successful to learn from everybody. Like, I learn from children, right? I learn from members. I learn from franchise partners. I learn from trainers. I learn from the celebrities that I'm fortunate enough to meet and hang out with nowadays that we've gained some success. I learn from, listen, I just hired a personal coach, okay? A good buddy of mine. You guys got to go follow him. His name is Derek Grant. Call him DG Mindset on Instagram. Man, this guy is so spiritual. Man, he's so spiritual. Like, that's what I needed in my life. He's a mental performance coach. And we have this relationship where he wants to grow a really big business and I want to be really spiritual. And I didn't grow up spiritual. And spiritual to me is not just boxed into like religion. I'm not here to talk about that. That's one part of being spiritual for sure, definitely. And a lot of people's like hands down, number one, like all in go-to. I think spirituality, from my perspective and what I need in my life, is more well-rounded. So it's religion and mentality and spirituality and connection with the universe and meditation and trying to separate the ego from the self and, trying to close my eyes and sometimes just think about being no one and nowhere and no thing, and trying to separate the mind from the body, because the mind and body are so congruent all day long. We don't need to worry about the mind-body connection. We need to worry about the mind-body disconnection, so that we can disconnect our thoughts from our reality around us and disconnect our thoughts from all of the observations that we make in life, and realize that, hey, when things happen to us and we think something, and then that the highway between what you think and what you feel are called emotions. And when you think, you have an emotion. When you have emotion, you have a feeling. When you have a feeling, that's kind of embedded into your body. And I want to know more about that. And that to me is why I hired Derek Grant as my mindset performance coach, because I have big dreams. We want to go build 10,000 gyms. And what that does is it helps more people like you. It brings a community to every community on the planet that can support a Burn Bootcamp that has people inside of it, just like you, just like myself, just like my parents when we grew up, that are going through it, that are going through the chaos, that are suffering unnecessarily more than they need to. That if we can figure out how to have the mindset, to have the thought, to have the feeling, the emotion, and to have that feeling and the emotion anchor itself physically, so then we go put the activity out into the world that can be in alignment with helping people in the community who are unnecessarily suffering, well, then that's the connection from physical manifestation to emotional reality. And so I'm already there just to some extent, because I can speak it and I live it and I do it, but Derek is helping me, DG's helping me take that to like a whole nother level. Like, I want to be on such a spiritual plane that it's enlightenment, right? Like love and enlightenment on that spectrum of energy, not on the spectrum of energy, the low spectrum of shame and of guilt and living in resentment and being bitter to the world for any reason whatsoever. And listen, with my background, for those of you that know it, and I shared a bit about it so far, there's a high propensity for people that grew up in the environment that I grew up in to see nothing but chaos, to see the men in their life that are their role models, doing all of the things, not just some of the things, literally all the things that we shouldn't be doing, and having to have the wherewithal to say, hey, okay, I'm going to love and respect the people that are around me for showing me what not to do than rather showing me what to do. Like, I'm taking that for myself to the whole next level. So wherever you're at in your life, mentorship is a big thing, okay? And a lot of people look up to Morgan and myself and Matt Morris and Trisha Pena, who host this podcast for you, and your trainers and your franchise partners in your community. You guys look up to us as mentors, and we gladly take that hat and put it on with pride. But I want you to know that for everything that you are a follower in now, the goal is to become the mentor and the leader in the future. And that's what we do here at Burn Bootcamp. And that's why I call it the Leadership Factory, because that's what we're doing, is we're constantly mentoring one another and sharing the information that all of us have uniquely acquired throughout our personal, individualized experiences of life. And we're bringing those things together. And the Burn Bootcamp group mind starts to rub off on people. And so Derek's spiritual teachings for me have really rubbed off on the way that I think about mental performance. And he's really given me what I would categorize as like a really fresh perspective around mental clarity. And so my question for you is two things. Number one, this is an auditing question. What do you wish that you would know in 5 years from today? If you could snap your fingers and you could say, I would be fluent, congruent, astute, knowledgeable in this thing, whatever that thing is, what would it be for you in 5 years from today? For me, it's Spanish. I'm going to learn a second language. I'm in the middle of it right now. I'm learning a second language because in 5 years from today, I know where Burn Bootcamp's going to be, and I know how many Latinos and Latinas are in our community, and I know how important it would be for them and how awesome it would be for them if the founder of the thing that they love the most met them where they are and could actually communicate with them like I can with the vast majority of the rest of our members. And I no longer have to just say aquí, aquí and point to my arm and show the vision, that I can actually break down exercises, I can break down business, and then we can start to do business in like South America and in Spain and Central America and Spanish-speaking countries, especially here, domestically, as we in Florida and the southern parts of Florida, a lot of Hispanic culture is there. And so it's very important to me. So my question is, what's very important to you that you want to manifest, that you want to learn, that you will regret if you don't learn it in the next 5 years? Go find a mentor for that, okay? That's one question. And the other question is, do you have something, someone in your life that you can be unfiltered with? Okay, that's largely the reason that DG and I work together, because I can literally say anything to DG. As much as he is a mentor, he's a therapist for me, and I get to talk about my relationship problems. I get to talk about my business problems. I get to talk about my business partner problems. I get to talk about my vendor problems. I get to talk about all the problems and all the things that are going on in my life. And I, in a sense, just get to release that at the same time as he's helping me put those things into perspective and giving me a tool in order to process those problems quicker. Because here's one thing I know to be true. You're always going to have problems. It's the 95-5 rule. You're always going to have 5% of things you're trying to work on that are a problem that you're trying to make better. And then you're always going to have 95% of things that are going pretty damn well if you gave yourself credit for it. And if you loved yourself enough to recognize yourself for the great things that you do bring, then you're going to look around and you're going to say 95% of who I am is pretty darn awesome. But there's 5% that's an opportunity, and I need to go attack that 5% through mentorship. Really what I mean is by asking questions and listening, because a mentorship is not somebody giving you the answers or answering the questions for you. It's somebody that is posing you back the questions that you need to answer for yourself. So thank you guys for being here. I hope this is an inspiration to you to maybe listen to podcasts more, to maybe read more books and get mentorship that way, to really listen to the people in your life. Like maybe start with your spouse. Guys, can we do that? Can we actually start listening to our spouse and what they're saying, and you're not trying to win arguments and not trying to be right? Can we start there? Okay, can we just listen without reacting? Can you do that? Let's try that. Okay, let's try that as a start. Can you listen to your children without overreacting? Can you allow your children to teach you things as well? And can everybody be your mentor? Or do you need that one person? Do you need to go find a DG? Do you need to go find somebody in your life like Claire, my Spanish tutor? Do you need to go find somebody that is specifically meant to help you reach this goal or overcome this problem? All right? You guys, I'm having so much fun here with you on the podcast. Please share this with another Burn member. A lot of Burn members don't know that we have the podcast, right? So if you could do anything today on behalf of sharing the mission for Burn Bootcamp, which I know you love to do, please just share the podcast, tag somebody in this clip or on this video, and make sure that you're spreading the love. We love you guys. Email in podcast@burnbootcamp.com. Leave a review right here on Apple. And you know how we do it. We'll take it out like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.